Hey guys, welcome back to Vertical Momentum. I'm your host, Richard Kaufman, also known as the Comeback Coach. Guys, this if you are a business owner, entrepreneur, veteran entrepreneur, this episode is for you. We're talking to my brother. We just got together. His amazing podcast. I've listened to every episode. He's a veteran. He's a two-time best-selling author. He's changing the game of PR. He's changing the game of branding and marketing. Brother, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for hopping on.
Thanks for having me. I'm very excited to be here, talk about marketing strategy, talk about like AI, what's going on because there's a lot happening as of the last couple of months that's been on a huge advance in marketing. So excited to talk about that.
I love it. So before, like you said, my first question is because I have a traumatic brain injury. If I don't ask it, I forget. What is your definition of resiliency?
My definition of resiliency is to not give up. It's a matter of, of discipline. It's a matter of bouncing back. That's how I see resiliency because regardless on how hard things can get, uh, the only way that you can lose and not be resilient is if you quit. So as long as you keep moving, you keep pushing forward, and you keep being resilient, then everything is gonna be fine at the end. And if it's not okay, then it's not the end.
All right. So give us a little background, where you come from, where did you grow up, and tell us a little bit about how and why you joined the military.
So I'm originally from Puerto Rico. I got recruited with the Air Force directly from the island, and the reason that I joined the Air Force was because I was in college and I was studying engineering and I had good grades, but it was a matter of I wanted to be independent. I wanted to have more control and just start building my life. And that's why I was like, look, I'm gonna do big things regardless. I just wanna get out. Like I just want a new start. So that's why I signed with the Air Force and to get that first full time job. And also I wanted to use it to become completely bilingual to expand my horizons and opportunities. And I'm glad that I did because now I was able to become completely bilingual, and now being able to start my business in English, right, and have so many opportunities here in the States. So I'm glad that I went that route.
So tell us a little bit about your military service. How long did you stay in?
So I was from 2016 to 2020. So it's a 4 year contract. I was a radar technician. So when I signed, I went open electric because it was like open category. It was like the one of the fastest things that I could get, and it was something that was like, look, it's things that could give you skills that could even give you a job later on. It's like perfect. I want something good, something that is not like crazy hours, like working in the flight line, for example, and working services or stuff. I was like, look, I'm glad that I went open electric. I was like, look, whatever I take in this side, I think it's gonna be decent. And effectively, that's what I did. I got assigned for to be a radar technician. So what I did was providing the sky picture with a ground radar that it was a mobile unit. So I did things like go in Turkey and then packed up a whole site and then fly with it to Syria, set it up there, then provide sky picture of 240 nautical miles, and they're in the north east Syria, and being able to contribute to the mission, which is so important to provide that sky picture in the Air Force, right?
Now, did you? Because you only said you did 4 years, and I'm not saying only. I mean, you knew you were going to do 4 years. So did you start planning to get out halfway through or a year in because you knew you were going to get out? Did you start planning?
Yes, I was at all times. I think I always been an entrepreneur at heart, and since even when I was a kid, I remember like finding ways to do something in recess so I can get a little money and then go and buy the candy that I wanted and stuff. So for me, it was always like, what can I do at sites from the military that then I can actually have the lifestyle that I want. So I was thinking about having my own brand, and I kind of started that like halfway through my career, right? Like 2 years in, let's say, or a little bit over that. And then after that, I went deployed again, and then came back, and then I started looking for building more on that. But then I was like, regardless of what I do, I need to drive traffic to it. So that's why I then kind of stumble upon the agency model, looking for how to do I drive traffic. And that's how I committed to open my own agency, because I was like, regardless of what I want to do, I need to drive traffic and be able to generate leads for regardless of what I do. So that's why I went that way.
Okay, so a lot of us when we get out of the military do not plan to get out of the military. A lot of us want to make a career out of it. A lot of us get hurt on duty, so we're forced to get out. So even though you plan to get out, was your transition pretty easy?
I wouldn't. Yes and no, because so first, I mean, I got in, and I was thinking like, well, this is a way that I can use it for progression, and then let's see what happens after that. It's 4 years. If I don't like it, it's okay. If I do, then I can stay in, because I always, it wasn't like I didn't discount it completely staying in. Like I was like, maybe, right, if it's good enough and I can do something on the side, and maybe just so I don't just go out and then think that, oh, the grass is gonna be greener, but it isn't, right? So I always had in my mind, it's like, look, this is not a bad job, right? Like this is not a bad gig. It's just a matter of I felt tamed and I wanted to do more, because I wanted to be more free and have control and create my own path, my own life in my own terms. So that's why, like, I had that fight between like, oh, do I stay in? This is not that hard. Like I can progress here, I can build slowly. But then I decided that, look, I really want to, I really want to go for it. Like I don't, it's scary. It's not gonna be easy, I know, but then I'm just gonna go for it. So what I did was I opened my LinkedIn about a year prior to getting out, like I almost like 13 months, like almost a year out, right? And then I got literally within weeks, because I updated everything, and I put that I have a community college of the Air Force associates on electronic systems technology, because of my tech school, because of my previous school from Puerto Rico. So I put that together, and then I got a message from a recruiter from Intel, looking for somebody that had experience in education on electronic systems technology. So I was like, perfect. Like I got this person. So I went, and the interviews got accepted. So then when I even did like some of the interviews when I was deployed, so then I secured a job. So when I got out, like my contract ended on October 31st of 2020, and my job with Intel started on November 2nd. So I was not gonna have a paycheck just for 2 days. So then I was like, perfect. I have this perfect safe space. So 6 months before, when I come back from my second deployment, which it was when COVID was happening, the Cold War with Iran basically was happening, and I was there next to Iran. So that was another incentive for me. It's like, look, I gotta get out of here. I gotta do something else. So then when I came back from that deployment, I got some money, I got some time, because there was nothing to do because it was a pandemic. And then also I already had a job. So it was like I created this safe space for me to start my business. And then when I was juggling both, when I got out of the military, and then I was in Intel, and then I got a couple of clients, and then I was like, you know what, I can do this, and I dipped out, and that's how I did it.
All right. So before we go any further, because I want to dig deep, I want to thank our sponsors. As you guys know, our podcast now is in the top 0.5% of all podcasts in the world, according to Listen Notes. And of course, we're ranked in the top 10 or top 100 of entrepreneurs on iTunes and Good Pods, all because of Eric Allen Media down below. He taught me everything that I know. So if you guys want to start your own podcast, monetize it, check out Eric. He's an awesome guy. He started me. Without him, I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing. Also, guys, as we're talking, there's been a major data breach like yesterday, as a matter of fact. So if you guys are worried about your phones, your computers, make sure you reach out to Daniel Curry of Indy's IT department. He is a veteran, Army veteran, and he also is the guy for cybersecurity. So if you guys are concerned about your phones, your tablets, your computers, like I am, reach out to Daniel. Also, I wasn't going to say this, but there's also another guy that I wouldn't be able to do what I do if it wasn't for Robert the Warrior Garcia, Warrior Strategies Garcia. Actually, he's the one that actually helped me with my book to hit number one twice, and he actually helped me do everything that I'm doing because he has a course called Tactical CEQ. Guys, if you are a business owner and you're not a celebrity in your industry, you need to reach out to Rob the Warrior Garcia. So I love you, Rob. Thank you so much. I love you. And he's also another Air Force veteran. So now you said something big because my son is 19 years old. He's about to graduate from college. He asked me, what's the first thing I should start doing? I said, create a LinkedIn profile. Make sure that you are on LinkedIn, because that's where, for me, I think I just got an email this morning. I think we're almost at 30,000 followers. There's a kind of, you can only have a certain amount of followers and stuff like that. But for me, LinkedIn is where it's at. If you're in business and you're not on LinkedIn, you're leaving a lot of money on the table. So talk to us a little bit about LinkedIn, setting up your profile for success. And by the way, I know somebody that actually used ChatGPT to write their about statistics on LinkedIn, and within one day actually got 10 leads from one day just from ChatGPT writing it for them. So I'm just saying, we'll talk about that later. So talk about setting up your LinkedIn profile for success.
So the way that I set up my account and all the account of my clients too is by thinking a lot of on their personal branding. So and I get people that they don't even have their colors sometimes. They haven't done it before. It doesn't matter, right? Like, it's a matter of like, okay, tell me what's your favorite color? What is your message? What is the thing that you wanted to get out? Who you're helping? And I get those things, and then together with my team, my graphic designer, we then strategize like how is it gonna how do we want this to look, and then we made it very aesthetically pleasing to stand out to get that banner right. That banner is the main one of the main things that it's the first thing that people see. So like that banner is something that you should take just to take care of as soon as possible. You can start with something as simple as just going to Canva, put your logo, and or if you don't even have a logo, just come up with like something, right? Like you can use some stock image and then put your name or something, but just put something in there. Just don't just put something, even if it's just a placeholder, and then just go with a graphic designer or with somebody like me to help you to optimize that and have your message and your branding. So that's the first thing. The second thing is to add in the headline. So in the headline is also a similar framework that I just described, but it's just words rather than adding colors and added visuals and logos, right? It's just a matter of who you're helping with, what are your titles, what is the authoritative things that you have associated with you, right? Like for example, I'm a host of a top 1.5% podcast by listen notes. I put it there. I'm a two-time best-selling author. I'll put that there, right? I'm helping exceptional business leaders, so I amplify their impact. I put that there, right? So those are the things that I want. So people, because that's like default. It's kind of like your website, like default, like the first thing that they see. So when that's like your top, prime real estate right there, right? Prime digital real estate. So getting control of that, I making just having people to really associate you with the things that you want to, because you position them there strategically, is extremely important. So that's one thing. And then after that, then that's when you start going into there's the feature area, right? You can put a feature post, feature stuff. You have press, you can put that there. You have press, you can also put it as seen, right, in the banner. And then you go into like the about, and like Richard said, it has become as easy as nowadays you can talk to your phone or an AI or something, and just describe everything that you do and why you do it and all these things. Then when you have that you can transcribe that with, let's say Order AI. That's what I use. And then after you take that transcript, put it on ChatGPT and just like make me a concise and up to the point about for my LinkedIn profile. Boom, enter, and then you take that and you adjust it, making sure there's fine, and then you have a great about there that you can did very quick with the help of AI. So those are the key things. And then if you have a business, you added stuff, adding up a business page and adding those things, add your experience, right? What's your previous experience, especially the ones that you're most proud of, education, work, whatever, and then just build that, and then just start connecting with people, get out there and build relationships, and that's how you build a very good LinkedIn.
Yep. And once you start building your LinkedIn profile, um, if you have once you start getting enough traction, you're able to go live like we're doing right now. You're able to create your own newsletter. That like I put a newsletter that goes out every Thursday, and I put it out. It goes out to 5,000 people automatically. I don't have to do anything except click a button. So there's a lot of different things that LinkedIn is using that you can actually get newsletters out there. Because a lot of times, if you put a post out, maybe only 5-10% people will see it. But if you put a newsletter out, everybody's getting that newsletter.
They'll get
So
notified. If they read it or not, obviously up to them, but at least they get notified, which is a huge thing, right? Like they go in into the notifications, and then one of the things that they're gonna see is like, hey, newsletter just got out. Because if you subscribe to it, it's not like a post. You can be following somebody and you not see a post, but if you're subscribed, then you'll get a notification about, hey, there's a newsletter that just came out. So it's very, very powerful tool of LinkedIn right now.
all right, so tell us a little bit about what you do, and then we're going to dig into the minutia of how you do it and why you do it.
So what I do is I do marketing strategy. So rather than just coming to you and give you this cookie cutter thing that, oh, I'm gonna give you a press release, I'm gonna give you some, I want to do some ads, and we're gonna run a LinkedIn newsletter, and you're gonna make a 10x return, right? Like rather than just tell you those things, I start with a marketing strategy assessment where we talk about how you attracting your clients, how you capturing them, how you nurturing them, how you have you convert them, and then have a transition with ease to avoid that buyer's remorse, and then turn those clients into raving fans that will be happy to promote your product, to be on referral programs, and to be strategic partners. So that is the journey that I take people. And as we build this, and we kind of start like, okay, what is the things that you're doing right now, and where is that where you ideally want to be, right? And then we pair those together with the strategy. And after we have the strategy, then it's a matter of like execution. It's like, okay, so we face it out. Like, okay, so you already have enough leads, but you're not converting them because they don't trust you. They don't have you don't have enough authority. Oh, let's do some press. Right, we can do like Rob and do make you a local celebrity if you have a local business, right? Oh, you're doing national. Okay, let's do some national strategies. Oh, you don't have enough leads, so let's work on getting those enough leads. Or you have a lot of leads but a lot of things are falling through the cracks. Okay, let's work on those, like how you're capturing them, how you're nurturing them. So all those things is the things that I do for people. And I'm not gonna pretend that I can do everything myself, and then I'm gonna be able to just uh, come in and just solve all your problems just by talking to you one time, right? It's something that we address and we test, and after we address and test things and we decide this is the best strategy, that's when we go and pour more fuel to that fire. But first we got to create that fire, right? So that is the strategy that we use.
All right, so now what are some of the things that you see new business owners struggle with? And by the way, if we would have done this interview 1 year ago, nobody would have known what the hell ChatGPT was. Nobody would be talking about short form content, TikTok videos. So, you know, this last year, everything is totally twisted. So we're going to hop on a little bit about that. So talk to us about some of the things that new business owners make, mistakes that they make when they're first starting a business in branding and marketing.
um there's so many and one common thing is to just not have a strategy in place. That's just the main thing. And there is this thing between, you don't need to have everything perfect to start, right? Go ahead and start and fail fast. That's my advice. But also, like, be very intentional and strategic, and pair yourself with people that look. If you're starting out, right, like, let's say I'm starting out, I don't know the strategies, I don't know things, but then look for people that do. Surround yourself with the right people, and make sure that you're taking decisions that will align with what your goal is. Because if you're just like, oh, like, I'm just gonna react to everything, and not align myself with my goals, my core values, and not surround myself with the right people, then you're gonna go into a path that's gonna be like completely opposite, almost like it's not gonna be the path that you were dreaming coming into the journey. So that's something that I say is just make sure that you do those things. Another big thing is, and this is, and I talk from like experience too, right? This is a lot of things that I'm basing because of my me starting out, and this is something that it seems very common too, is like sales is something that I tell everybody to focus on first, right? You got to make sure that you have your delivery and it's set up, right? So obviously that's fine. But if you haven't never got been on sales, and you don't have that experience, that's the first thing that I recommend to start. Because I thought that because I'm a social person, I could just, oh, I can talk to people. If I have something of value, it's just convey the value. I'll close them easy. That's fine. It's just a matter of getting enough at bats and stuff. And then I quickly realized that sales is not just talking just because of talk. Like, it's a matter of, you have to have control of the conversation. You have to convey the value in a way that is not you're telling people that you need to do this, more of guiding them for them to get to kind of where you want to go, because or you want to take them because you think it's the best decision. But you got to get them to know that that's what they thinking, not because you're telling them, right? Because if we just let ourselves influence by a lot of people, and then we don't know what to do. And that's a common thing for the counterparts that you're talking to. So just think about sales. That's the first thing. And then generating a lot of at bats, so you get good at sales, or that's the lead generation. And then from there, you go graduating into how can I things off my plate. But if you can't do sales, then you can't really build a business. So that's my advice for people starting out.
And and also talking about that, I just did a post this morning. One of the books that actually changed my life, and one of the relationships that I built was with Dr. Robert Cialdini. He wrote a book called Influence. And guys, if you don't have the book Influence, if you haven't read it, you need to check it out. It'll tell you the whole psychology behind influence. So if you want to be an influencer, you got to learn how to influence people. So definitely check out that book. I don't make any money off of it, but it's a game changer if you guys haven't read it. So now, you know, when I got my mentor, my mentor is John Lee Dumas. His podcast gets $1 million, a million downloads a month. And I asked him, I said, John, and I've had him on the show before. I said, John, what's the first thing I need to do to start a successful podcast? And he says, I want you to go an inch wide, but I want you to go a mile deep on finding out who your ideal avatar is. So for me, my ideal avatar is, according to my analytics, is a 45-year-old male, father of three, veteran business owner. That's I actually named him. His name is Craig, and I actually got a picture of a family in my phone of exactly that. So whenever I'm on the show, that's who I'm talking to. I'm talking to Craig. So talk to us about finding your perfect avatar before you even try to sell anything to anybody.
Yeah. So when you are trying to sell something, you have to believe in it, right? Because if not, it's just gonna be very hard to sell. Because then you're gonna feel like you're lying, right? Because like, oh, I'm gonna sell something that I don't believe in. So you gotta believe in it, and when you're believing in what you're selling, you have a why, right? Because that's the reason that you believe in it, right? So when you think about that why, that why am I doing this? Why am I selling this? Then that's the next step, is like, to who am I selling this and why, right? Like that, attaching those things. So when you think about the why, then you should attach that to, okay, so for who would this be beneficial? Like, okay, this, it helps you to start a business, or this helps you to get more leads. So okay, well, what type of leads, what the type of people that you want to serve. And a lot of times you're gonna find yourself to have a lot of options, because it's just a lot of times it's like, oh, I can serve a lot of different people. So then it becomes a matter of positioning, and how do I want to position myself, so that way I cannot just accept that you cannot help everybody, and then put yourself in okay, so in my positioning, I know that I'm gonna have to compromise certain things, and I'm gonna be able to take advantage of certain things. So then it's a matter of, do you want to, if you, for example, if you want to be a plumber, like, do you want to be the plumber that specializes on uh, when home remodeling, let's say, right? Or did you want to be the one that specialize on emergency response, right? They're both good positioning. It's just a matter of the compromise of like, okay, do you want to charge more and not having to charge, like, fight with price, but then be willing to work around the clock when people sleeping and stuff? With, okay, you can be an emergency plumber, but then if you want to work with somebody that is doing remodelings, then you want to then look for strategic partnerships. You want to do for things that are specifically for that, and just hammering down of like, okay, so what type of remodelings do you want to be, like highly luxury, like celebrity people, or do I want to be the someone like Craig, that it's like 45 years old, has 3 kids? So what is their budgets, what is their things, how do I fit into that, right? Like, so just visualize that, the whole journey, and if you see yourself being in that journey, and you start running the numbers, you start running the even like, okay, so how do I talk to these people? You start running all those different scenarios. That's how you can get that into like, okay, this is the person, this is why I'm doing it. And then there is the testing phase of things, right? Like, it's not like you can just, okay, I want to target this people and then you're gonna stay there, right? It's a matter of, kind of like Richard said, like, start doing things, look at your analytics, and what your analytics are telling you, then what's working, double down on that, right? Especially if you like it, right? If you're okay with it, it resonates with you, this makes sense with your core values and your mission and vision that you have for your business, then just look for test, look for what's working, double down on it.
And that's something my brother Russell Brunson came out with the book, the trilogy series, and he talks about split testing, and that's when I started doing it, where I know that if it's on TikTok and I put a certain picture up there and I put the Sound of Silence by Disturbed on, I know that's getting 10,000 views automatically. Or if I do a Facebook post and it's a picture of me holding my baby daughter, I know it's going to get hundreds of shares and hundreds of likes, all because of split testing, because I realize the stuff that doesn't get seen, I'm not going to do anymore. But a lot of people, they just put out one thing and they expect it to go viral. And a lot of times it's not going to go viral, and you're pitching to the wrong audience. Because like if I'm a 54-year-old male. If I'm pitching to a 20-year-old, it's not going to work. Because and I was told by Mr. Jim Rohn and also by JLD, you should go pitch people that are 10 years older or 10 years younger, because you're speaking the same language. So for me, that's how I become successful, because I know my ideal avatar is from 34 to 54. And that's according to analytics, because I check my analytics every day. But I think a lot of people don't even check analytics to know who they're good marketing to, and they're wasting a lot of marketing dollars, right?
Yeah, it's correct, and that's why that kind of ties back to what I said about like having the marketing strategy, make sure exactly where you stand. Like in doing that assessment that I do, I talk a lot about data, right? Like, how do you storing data? How do you looking at data? How do you taking decisions based on data? Like, that's a big part of your marketing strategy. Like, you need to collect data, and you need to make decisions based on it. And obviously there's different ways, right? There's the quantitative data, there's the qualitative data, right? And that's another thing that you have to account for. It's not just numbers. You gotta also think about what's being said, and the things, like kind of like what we say it in what I've learned is like the dark funnel, right? Like not everything is a matter of numbers and where they're coming, because now you send a podcast and goes into a Slack channel, and then from that somebody talk with somebody, and then they get to you. Then they seem like they came from SEO, but in reality, it was the podcast that got through the Slack. So obviously, you gotta got those things in consideration too. It's not just numbers, but obviously look at your data and leverage it.
But now, like I said earlier, a year ago, we would not even know what the hell a chat GPT was. We would, back, I think a couple years ago, it was Musically at one time. It wasn't, TikTok. But now everything, or not everything, but a lot of stuff is short form video. I've had some of the leaders from Instagram, some of the leaders from YouTube, and they're all saying, short term video is king right now. And a lot of people are afraid of short term video. And unfortunately, if you don't have short form video and you're only doing long form content, you're kind of getting left in the dust a little bit. What are your thoughts?
Definitely, and there is again a strategy for everything. That's why I put my nickname as like strategy foo, right? Because I'm always talking about strategy. So, um, uh, the thing about that is like there is so many ways now that you can just make short video content out of your long form, right? So it's a matter of you can have a podcast, then you can have a talking head video where you're going into long form. You can long form nowadays is anywhere from like 2 minutes to 30 minutes, or like 4 minutes to like 13 minutes, or you can even go longer than that, right? The podcast can go like 30 minutes to an hour, sometimes even more, right? But then as long as you're very intentional about your videos, the way that you're recording them, and thinking that you will repurpose them, so then make sure that when you're recording, you leaving like enough space and stuff so people can zoom in, zoom out, like cut out, and it fits into the vertical style, right? If you're recording horizontally, or even something another thing that I've seen, people are already recording their podcast already in vertical form. And that's something like for Riverside, for example, they you can record your podcast there, and you can export it as long for as a vertical video, and then from that just use an app to put captions, put that in YouTube, and then do remixes. So now there's this thing called remix feature that you can only use on mobile, but after you upload that there, then you use the remix feature, and then you start getting clips from that podcast right in your phone in seconds, right? Like just get, and then you start distributing that, and then through short videos, then you can get that awareness to drive to your actually long form. So that is the strategy of like make sure that doing long form is great, because it's still that's where you actually sell people. You cannot sell people on 30 seconds, all right, or 60 seconds. So the long form is still like very important, but to drive awareness to it, then that's how you use short form content. Short form content is the greatest thing to reach to a lot of people that don't follow you. Like when I post on Instagram, for example, and I look at my analytics, like most of the people that are seeing my reels are not following me. So there's people that I never probably haven't seen me before, and I'm reaching because of my shorts. And then I say, hey, link on my bio or something, and people can click, and then they can go and actually go to my podcast, go to my website, go to my other stuff. So definitely awareness. You want awareness, people have never seen you, use short video content for sure.
And for me now, I've been now. I think you're like my 550th interview. I think. Um, so for me, I love building relationships. I love building friendships and generational relationships. And I think even in it's more important in the social media age to build strong relationships, real relationships, because that's what counts. I mean, if you want to build, I can have you on the show one time, fine, but I want to, as you know, since we got together, I connected on all your social channels. I'm going to share everything. I'm going to comment on everything because I want to build a relationship. And people don't realize that's where the money is. That's where they say your network is your net worth. So talk about building relationships on and offline. Because without a guy like Robert, I wouldn't be able to have you on the show. And that's a relationship I've built for the last 6 years. So talk about relationships.
Relationships, it's just you can, so if you don't have money, you can go out and go make relationships, and then you have people currency that is extremely valuable. So like having no money, it's no excuse to be able to, no excuse to not succeed. You have no money, go connect with people, go shake hands, and kiss babies, how people say, right? Go make relationships. And nowadays the shaking hands and stuff is like the DMs basically. Like, right, like just DM people, build relationships, lead with value. That's a key thing, right? There's so many people sending DMs and stuff. What I did with Richard, I was like, hey, like, do you want to be in my podcast? Right. And then it's like, oh yeah, like let's trade interviews, right? Like he's having me in his podcast, I'm gonna have him in my podcast. Another way that I lead with value is by, hey, I can get you a free feature like on a magazine, because I know a couple magazines. One easy one that a lot of people don't know about, a lot of people do too, is Self Forwarding Magazine, for example, right? Like just those are things that I can connect people, that it doesn't cost me money, maybe a little bit of time, and if I have it systemized, then not even that, right? And just lead with value, so then you can open those doors. Then be very intentional about making relationships, connect with people, comment meaningful comments on their stuff, like their stuff, like that's free. That's free. There's no excuse. It's just a matter of time, right? And obviously we all have to prioritize things, but if you really want to get certain places, you have to build relationships, and then just make sure that you're very strategic and intentional about it, and then just add as much value as you can, build relationships, and then a lot of doors will open, and it will be amazing. People currency, it's one of the best, most valuable currencies that you can have.
Yep. Now, guys, I'm going to give you guys a hack. If you guys are listening, I'm going to give you a hack that this works almost 100% of the time. What I've done since the beginning of starting the show, I'm a big reader. So whatever book I'm reading that week that impacts me, I will actually take pictures of it, share it out to my whole audience with a link to buy, tag the author, and let them know I'm not getting anything from this. I just appreciate the value you bring. And, and that's how I've gotten Greg Reed. I've had the authors of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Dean Graziosi, pushing me out there saying, hey, I see you pushing me. Even Steve Sims, he's like, I see you pushing me for nothing. Well, how can I help you? So that's another way to provide value. And Audible is like $15 a month. So if you can't afford $15 a month to get in front of people like that, then you have a big issue. So what are your thoughts on doing something like that? And it's being real, because I am reading the books, I'm getting the knowledge, I'm getting the value, and I'm just trying to give value and not ask for anything. And then it kind of it replicates, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, yeah. That I think that's super smart. I think that's incredibly smart, and I do this all the time too. Not necessarily with the books. My strategies are with content for the most part, because it's like, look, I consume this content either long form or short. A lot of times are shorts. Like I see this short, I share that on my story, I tag them to make sure, like, look, they can see it. And also when you're tagging people, and this is something that I want to tell to like the whole audience, like if you want to add value to people, and you want them to even repost you, make sure that when you're sharing things in your stories, tag them, because when you tag them, you allow the person that you tag to repost you. So not only they are showing the support that you're giving them, they're also giving you free exposure now in their platform. So this is something that I've been very very intentional as of lately, because of a friend, a social media guy, and he was like, dude, like you should do these things, because in ask people, because closed mouth don't get fed. So you gotta go and ask people. It's like, hey, would you share this content and tag me, and then I'll repost it to show the support. That's free traffic for you, that I show that you're supporting me. We're all winning here. And a lot of your friends and people just in your networks, they will gladly do it. But if they didn't even know about it, like if you don't ask them to do it, then that's something that they will know that was a great way that they could add value to you, right? And then people reciprocate, right? And you start building those things. It's just a matter of leave with value, add a lot of value, have conversations, be efficient with it too, right? Don't just talk, right? Like just make sure that you're adding value and that you're being efficient and have their time in your, in your mind. So you'll be respectful of that. But then, just share content, be intentional, and just go out, get out there and talk to
And,
people.
you know, and a lot of people don't realize that they just added the feature on Instagram stories where you can tag somebody right in the picture. You can tag somebody right in the video and it shows up on the video. So, and they all, so they, there's no reason you shouldn't be able to tag somebody while you're making a video because you can actually tag them and they're going to get it. So I think that's something Instagram has really got smart about doing, being able to tag and also be able to put your website into onto that video as it's being recorded. So that's
That
something that
link
Instagram
feature.
just started doing.
Yeah, and another thing too, it's before, when you accidentally didn't tag somebody, especially in your story, it was kind of like, damn, I forgot to tag them. Like, I don't want to delete this and then having to upload it again just to tag them. Now they have done it that you can just click the three dots and like literally like on the story and then go click that and then add tag and just tag them, and that's it. You can tag them. So you don't have to be like, oh, I didn't tag you, let me delete it and post it again. Don't worry about it. Like if you didn't do it, go there and add it later. So that's something that is pretty cool, that wasn't a thing, like, let's say, I don't know, 6 to 12 months ago, but it is a thing now, and it's something that can be used.
All right, I know we're coming to the end of the hour because I know you got a lot of important things to do. But tell us a little bit about how do we find you? How do we support your message? And also, just drop one golden nugget that somebody that can use today to start getting their brand out
Uh, so how to find me is James L Fu, like I put here in the screen. That's my Instagram. That's like one of the best ways. I mean, best DM capabilities. You can also just Google me, James Fu Torres. And imperiumauthority.com is my website. Obviously, I know that is a little bit of a mouthful, so that's why I tell people James L Fu, FOO. That's my last name. And James Fu Torres. It's like my whole last name because I have two-word last name. So that's the best way to connect with me. And for a golden nugget for branding is to to think about your, like, what's your superpower, right? If you were to pick up, like, what's your superpower, what can you do best, what do you really like doing? Like, because most of us, as we grow, we pick something that we were good at and we tried it, and now we kind of commit to it a little bit, and you have a skill set now there, or you have multiple, like, but just focus on, like, what's the top three, let's say, at least, right? What's the things that you can do the most, and then attach that to your why. Like, why do you want to do the things that you do? Like, why, what's your reason to push through challenges? Attach that to what's happening in the market right now, and kind of like put all together and cook it, and then get something out of that, and you can get inspiration of, like, for colors. So what are your favorite colors, and look for the meanings and stuff, and attach, all that together, and get help if you need, right? But at least start, with the ideas, and then, start putting it out there, and then you can tweak, right? Oh, like, I want to say this things, like, I tweak my stuff all the time. Like, I've been almost in business for 3 years, and I'm still tweaking, and I'm still gonna be tweaking because I'm always gonna be adjusting with what's happening in my life, and in business in general. So just start with something, and then just improve from there.
Okay, so like I said, I just want to say thank you so much, brother. Uh, but now tell us about your podcast, where we can find it, because like I've been devouring it. I've been listening to it. I mean, I got my phone right here. I've got it. My first three playlists. It's you, Gary Vaynerchuk, Ed Milet. Those are my top three. Anytime I get a new episode, I'm downloading. So where do we find your podcast?
So I'm a guest podcaster for the Strategic Advisor Board. So that is, Strategic Advisor Board, not advisory board, advisor board. And that's the name of the podcast. You can find it on all major platforms. You can go to YouTube too and find the Strategic Advisor Board. My specific segment is called Moments with Fu. So you can also Google that, or put that in YouTube, Moments with Fu. and you'll find it there. So that's when you're in the strategic advisor board in the YouTube. Just go to the playlist that says Moments with Fu, and that's all my episodes. We're getting close to 70 episodes now, and about a year that we've been doing this. I think the year is coming up, or we're almost, yeah, we're almost there. So we've done we're almost like a million downloads in the first year, because it's a collaborative thing. It's not just me; it's just the all the podcasters that we have done that together. So then it's not only just me, but there's also a lot of other segments that are pretty good. But I highly suggest to check out mine first.
And I can't wait to be on it. I'm excited, brother. I just want to say thank you. I know we had to play some phone tag. My daughter got sick yesterday with the flu, so I apologize, but thank you for making the time up today.
No, thank you for communicating with me, and we made it work, and you told me, hey, this thing's happened, it's fine, and we adjusted it, and we made it happen, and I'm glad that we did, and I hope that this turns out pretty good. I know, like, you're like on my end, like your internet was a little like kind of like adjusting, so hopefully this turns out to be a great quality content regardless, and I hope that we help at least one person, right? Like,
Yep.
we help one person, that's enough for me.
All right, brother. Well, I love you. Have an amazing weekend, guys. I love you. Make sure you subscribe. Leave a comment. Leave a comment if something touched you. If you're going to use some of the things that we talked about. And guys, remember, vertical momentum. The only way to go is but up. And I'll talk to you tomorrow. James, have an amazing weekend, brother.
You too.